Hi everyone, this is Evelyn from Twin Flames 3344. Today is June 4th, 2017, and I will be doing a read I did it specifically for the Divine Masculines coming into union by September, so within the next 3 months. And it's a really beautiful read, which I put on the tag, and I will be getting to that read, but there's some other things I want to go over first. Just a reminder, I am available for Reiki healing and activations, tarot card reads, as well as numerology. And I am a counselor for the Twin Flames, for those Twin Flames who are just awakening to knowing you're a Twin Flame and are confused about what to do next. I am available, love to talk to you. And thank you so much for my subscribers. Sorry I haven't checked in this weekend. I had a wedding to go to. Thank you so much everyone for your views and your likes and shares and the comments. I appreciate everything. I have a few things I want to touch base on as far as the energies from this weekend and today, and then we'll get on to the read for the masculine. Forgive me, my energy's a little bit low today, and I drove home today, so I'm a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. Let's see. First, yesterday was my father's birthday. So I did want to just bring that up as a little tribute to my dad. He was a light worker. He invented medical devices, and he always did exactly what was true to him. So he was a great example to me. He wasn't home a lot growing up, and my mother was. My mother, not the same. She thought she wanted 12 children, but it wasn't for the right reasons. She wanted 12 children because of the affection that she never got when she was a child, and I guess she figured that would make up for it. But thought after 3 kids that was enough, and then ended up having 2 more by accident. So she had a tough time with raising 5 children. And it's actually her birthday next Saturday. I was away this weekend. I went to my nephew's wedding, and that was on Friday, on the 2nd. And the day started out, because of the low energy and ascension symptoms and my prior concussion, it's really challenging for me to be the multitasker that I once was. And so in getting ready for this wedding, of course, a little bit of stress was coming upon me, trying to make sure everybody was ready and that everyone would remember everything they needed for the weekend. And my son triggered me, because he kept asking me questions about what he needed, when he knows very well. He's 26 years old, so he can take care of everything on his own. But he wasn't, and he was relying on me to make his decisions for him. So that triggered me, because I had allowed myself a certain amount of time to get ready so that I would have a certain amount of time to relax before we left. So some stuff came up, and we resolved that, which was fine. We had it was great that I brought those things up with him, because then he made me so proud of him all weekend. He was such a gentleman, and instead of reacting to things that I would say to him, instead he would try to come to the rescue and help out wherever needed, and he was really amazing actually this weekend. The trip up there was about a 2-hour trip, and me and my son and my daughter, we always have a good time on our road trips, so that was really nice. The morning stuff went away, and none of that negativity was around anymore. And it was a difficult wedding because everything was in a different place. The chapel was in one town, the hotel was in another town, and then the reception was in another town. So everything ended up being beautiful. It was a beautiful day. We had time actually. Once we got to the hotel, we got early check-in. Check-in was like 4 o'clock, and they allowed us to get in there right at 1 o'clock, which was amazing. So we were able to get partially ready, and then my brother showed up, so he invited us to come down for lunch. So we just got our makeup and stuff done, and then went downstairs and enjoyed lunch with them. My brother, who is the same name as my twin, and then we went to lunch, and then we had plenty of time. We just relaxed the whole time. Had plenty of time to come back up to the room and get dressed, and then drove to the chapel. No issues. Lots of addresses of homes of my numbers and my twin numbers on the way. And my daughter's sick of hearing about the numbers. And then had to wait for pictures. We didn't know we were going to have to wait around for, but that was like, that was the worst of it, is just waiting for pictures. And then that ended up working out too. Went back to the hotel, and then had some time to, just run up, go to the bathroom, whatever, and then come back down. They had a bus to go over to the reception. So everything worked out beautifully. The people on the bus ride over there were really nice. And the wedding was really beautiful. And I'm having some injury problems with my knee, and my back's still an issue, but I was able to dance a little bit with my knee brace on. Not too much, but some. So I was able to enjoy that part of it. Ate way too much bread this weekend. And the bride and groom, of course, were wonderful at the wedding and beautiful. But what I liked the most, I think, was at the end they had a marriage dance that weeded out everyone who was married, so many years, until they got to the couple that was married the longest. And it ended up being my uncle and aunt, and they had been married for 62 years, and he's having some health issues, but and I didn't think he was going to get up to do that dance, but he did, and it was so sweet. And I have some pictures of them dancing, and then they won. So they got this recognition for their 62-year marriage, which was just amazing. It was really amazing. So that day was wonderful, and Spirit's connecting with me on that. And then we got back, it wasn't too late. It was probably asleep by 1 o'clock. And like I said, the weather was beautiful that day. And, trying to always just go with the flow, and everything just works out beautifully. The next day, I knew I was going to go into Manhattan with my brother and his wife, and the kids, my kids, who are 21 and 26, so they're not young kids. So I knew it was going to be a really nice day to just go in there and walk, but we didn't know how we were going to get there. Should I drive? Should we take the train? And then it ended up being cheaper to actually park there, as opposed to the 5 of us all taking the train there and back. So I'm like, okay, I'll drive. And it was a little less than an hour, not quite an hour, to drive into Manhattan. We had to go through the Holland Tunnel. But it was fine, because we were with each other, and there we were all of us were like just going with the flow. Nobody was, a control freak about anything, and so I knew it was going to be a very relaxing trip. And it was supposed to be a cloudy day, which was fine with me, because I knew it would be cool, and you wouldn't get too hot walking and that kind of thing. But it ended up being a sunny, beautiful, breezy day. It was perfect. So we come across the Holland Tunnel, and I haven't driven into New York in so many years, but it was just so pleasant, because where we were going, we just turned right off. It was easy after we got through into the city, and we knew where we were going. And as soon as we turned onto the street that we were going to start looking for parking, there was a spot right there on the left. And you will not believe this, because I was telling them, don't worry about the parking. We'll find a parking lot. There'll be something available, because we were fully willing to pay for a parking lot, so we wouldn't have any issues. I didn't care. And the very first block, we had barely even started to look. We just looked, and there was an open spot. Pulled in. the sign said something about it was a, I don't know, truck drop-off loading zone, but it was Monday through Friday, so Saturday was fine. But then, of course, you don't trust it because it's Manhattan, and you're worried about them getting, them towing you away. So I went into a couple stores to make sure it was okay to park out there, because I didn't see a meter, to put any money in, nothing, not even a kiosk. And the girls didn't seem to know in the stores, so there was some kind of police station across the street. So I went up to those doors, and I wasn't allowed in there, so I'm not sure what kind of police station it was, but there was two men right at the door, so I just asked them, I'm like, am I allowed to park across the street? It's okay. I'm not going to have any issues. And they're like, as long as you're not on this side of the street in front of our building, you're fine. So believe it or not, on the very first block we looked for a spot, we found a spot, and it was free. I had free parking in New York City. So if you don't believe in miracles, now you're going to have to, okay? So the angels were definitely with me, and my energy. And maybe my dad was there with me too, since it was his birthday yesterday. But nobody gets free parking in New York City, and we got free parking yesterday. So we parked there. It was the perfect spot. It was right in Little Italy. And we literally walked a block, maybe two, and we were right there, walking down through all the Italian restaurants, and we decided to walk down to some of the other areas. We were going to maybe walk through Soho as well, and we ended up going down to through Chinatown, and then we ended up at Battery Park, which was beautiful. And by then I really need to sit down to rest my knee anyway. So we sat by the water, and there was this perfect breeze and a perfect view of all the skyline across the river. And we had seen the Statue of Liberty on the way in, and it was beautiful. And then after we rested there a bit, we walked down the street to the 9/11 Memorial, because I hadn't been into New York to see that yet. Although I'm not sure if I might have been in New York since then, but didn't go down to the memorial. So we did that. Oh, and I need to show you the picture. So, and like I said, it was, and that's like another park at the memorial. It's just beautiful. The memorial, they're like big water fountains inside the ground. I don't know if you haven't been to see them, with all the names of the people on the plaques around the big squares. There's two big squares or pools, and then they're really deep pools and in the center there's another deep fountain that goes like down into the ground. It's very deep, but really beautiful. And so of course you're taking pictures because you're at the 9/11 memorial. And I took a picture of a photographer, they looked like they were photographers, had just taken a picture, like looking up. So I wanted to see what they were looking at. And it was beautiful because the sun was reflecting off this building. What I didn't know at the time I was taking the picture was that this is the first rebuilt building. And this is the picture. Hopefully you can see this well, because it's just a perfect picture. This, and it doesn't do it justice, but if you can see, look how beautiful that picture, and how the sun is coming off of that. And all the clouds were reflected in the building. This was the picture. That is the first rebuilt building for the 9/11 memorial. And I wish you could see this picture. I'll have to post it on another read. But the sun just hit it perfectly, and you actually see the outline of a triangle. And the rays of the sun, a triangle and the rays. And I just thought of something else I wanted to tell you. Beautiful picture. So I later, after, well, I'll tell you about the rest of our trip, but I wanted to read you something first. I had an epiphany when we were down there, which I wasn't able to write down until I got home later, or back to the hotel. There's also a tree there. It's like a surviving tree that survived the buildings coming down. And that feeds into this as well. So my epiphany was, the twins are the two towers. Our twin didn't crash into us. The planes did. Outside forces. We were both taken down to the ground, and everyone around us affected. Just as New York gathered to clear the wounds and spirits connecting with me, as spirit did when I first thought of this and again when I wrote this. We were both taken down to the ground, everyone around us affected. Just as New York gathered to clear the wounds and restore the area, each twin, or tower, must clear their own wounds into their dark night and then build themselves back up from scratch. And that's where I wrote Spirits Connecting now, when I first had this epiphany today as well. In New York, one building is done. That's the picture I just showed you. And the second in process. It takes the example of the first building to encourage the second, and now planned third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh buildings that have grown out of this tragedy. Just as my jacaranda tree that I had purchased 2 jacaranda trees over a year ago in hopes that I could get them to live. And it was still winter when I bought them, so the babies that were delivered from Florida didn't survive to spring. I couldn't keep them alive in the house even, and they both died. But I just, actually probably out of laziness, I just took them out back to see what would happen. I didn't feel like dumping them out that day. So I'd taken both of them outside to see if anything might happen. And one of them started growing and actually grew to be several feet tall last summer. But then I didn't know what was going to happen in the winter, because the jacaranda trees can't survive a winter I'm in the Philadelphia area. They can't survive our winters unless they're, big and strong and established. And of course this was a young tree. So I took it inside my house and kept it by the window so it'd have some light all winter, and took care of it. And I took it out on the deck as soon as it got warm again, so it gets some sunshine and the fresh air and that kind of thing. And a squirrel had pulled it out from the roots, and I'd put it right back in after I had found it in hopes that it would restore. And it's funny because I'd made a stone. I did a yoga retreat last January, and we had made these stones with a saying or a picture on it that we wanted. And I put it with this jacaranda tree outside, and the squirrel kept throwing my stones out. So finally I kept putting the stone back, and the tree came out. I put it back once and put the stone back on it, and finally the squirrel stopped throwing the stones out. And it wasn't a light stone. I was surprised that the squirrel was able to throw that stone out. And it wasn't just outside the pot. It was like across the deck. So I've been trying, for the past couple of months to get this, in hopes that this jacaranda tree will wake up and I'll find something sprouting from it. But anyway, in reading this, I'm comparing the regrowth of New York in 9/11. Just as my jacaranda has seemed to not have survived the winter in my house, out on my deck looking as barren as winter. And yet, if you look closer, about 10 baby jacaranda trees are growing at the base. And in the vegetable pot next to it, there's another couple jacaranda trees growing. And Spirit's connecting with me too, reminding me that what I want to tell you is I put the pots outside because I wanted to show my twin what having faith in something does. Because despite the fact that this jacaranda tree isn't supposed to grow here, I wanted to show him that this jacaranda tree, that's why I got it in the first place, to show him that even this jacaranda tree would survive, and then I would have that as a gift to my twin. So now I have all these baby jacarandas coming out of the one that still isn't sprouting anything. But now there's so much more that's come out of that. And in the vegetable pot next to it. That which falls away always returns in plenty. After all, we are talking twins, not a single child. So, we never made it to Soho yesterday, but we did drive through Soho on the way out. And the corner that we were parked at, in case you're interested, we were on Center, right below Broom. And what do brooms do? They sweep away, they clear away the mess. So we were parked on Center, just short of Broom. And it was just a perfect day. It couldn't have been any more perfect. It was just, I just kept saying, I couldn't believe how beautiful it was. The breeze was perfect, the sun was perfect, the clouds were perfect, the building and the pictures were perfect, and the places that we ended up visiting were perfect. And the park, and we got free parking. Free parking in Manhattan. So, and then the drive home, uneventful. You know, you have to wait to get into the tunnel, but it was fine. We got out of there, no problem getting back. And then just had some time to unwind in the room afterwards, you know, catch up and do some things. And then I did some clearing before I went to sleep. And then I woke up and my daughter was throwing up all morning. And I'm thinking it's my fault. I'm thinking that it's actually because I was clearing and she was sleeping next to me while I was clearing. And the vomiting is actually her purging. So she's in the room sleeping now because she was still throwing up when she got home a little bit. So and again, New York was a good point. So because I'd just been to Jersey City, just across the river. Last week or so, or the last 2 weeks, and now I'm back in the wedding was in Jersey, but we ended up going into the same area around Jersey City again, and then crossing into Manhattan. So definitely our energies were called to be there, and then I had my 2 kids with me too. So, and my daughter was with me on the first visit. So I think their energies needed to be grounded there as well. So that was yesterday. Now we come in today where we have the purging. It's not a sunny day today, but it's nice outside. It's cool and breezy. Actually, it's kind of nice. I was glad that the sun wasn't out for the ride home because I didn't want her to feel like throwing up while we were in the car. So that worked out well. And then yeah, the ride home was seamless. It was really quick, no issues. Of course, lots of numbers again. And I think that's it. So now I can do the masculine read for you. Oh, and my computer. When I left, I hadn't done a read before I left. I was going to try to do one, I think, Thursday. But in trying to fix the sound on my computer, it went out and I couldn't get the sound back, so I couldn't record, and I couldn't record on my iPad because there's never enough room. So I wasn't able to do anything. And then I got home this morning, I figured out how to get the sound back on. just going with the flow and allowing. And the sound was right back on this morning. So I'm able to do this now. So I did, again, the masculine read is specifically for masculines who are coming into union by September. And it's a beautiful read. I'll try to show you the cards as I go. The center of the read is the Two of Cups. Okay. So that's the center of their universe at the moment, the Two of Cups. And then the clarification cards I got on here is the Emperor reversed and the Strength card reversed. And this, he's recognizing his weakness and his need for control in this situation, and his need for strength because of his broken heart. And this could be a father figure as well, who's been controlling in the masculine's life. The challenge is the Three of Swords. Three of Swords clarified by the Page of Wands. Okay. So maybe understanding now that his youthful passion is not a responsible one, and that it ended up in a broken heart, and that he needs to be more discriminating with his heart. More discriminating, is that what I said? Yeah. The foundation of this read is the High Priestess. Okay, and then clarified by the Moon reversed. So he's definitely thinking about the feminine and the deception that he's caused the feminine, and all the reasons behind it, his inner wounds, which is great that he's actually dealing with them. The underlying energies being the bottom of the deck, which is the Nine of Wands. So the underlying energies are all about him protecting all his old wounds. And the clarification cards are the Three of Pentacles reversed and the Nine of Swords. So it's all of the difficult thoughts and sleepless nights and tears that he's had in trying to build the relationship that he has and the business that he has. And these things are clarifying his justification for using his wounds to be an excuse for all of this, his prior wounds, because he's still defending all of his old wounds. But he's realizing now, and even the Three of Pentacles can represent the twins reversed with the third energy. It could also represent the third party situation at work. So it can represent all of those things, but they're all clarifying his thoughts and the depression about all of this and his prior wounds. So the recent past is the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles, right, clarified by the Seven of Cups reversed. And by the way, I'm sorry, sometimes I'll show you a card and I'll say the wrong suit by accident. That's probably due to my concussion issues, but hopefully I'll get everything straight today. So the King of Pentacles in the recent past is about him. That's the one way that the masculine knows how to stay balanced and in control of his life, is through his work and being realistic about things and being logical. The King of Pentacles has mastered his ability to manifest a comfortable life for himself. And that's why he's done that, because that's where he finds balance, not in his relationship life. Okay, so it was his way of kind of, getting out of the house and feeling better at work, which he probably didn't even see in himself all this time. Probably didn't even see it, but because that's where he felt grounded, was in how he was able to manifest his monetary and practical life, but in a sense, the superficiality of the life. Okay, so you have the masculine still defending his wounds, but now recognizing either his own psychic abilities, and the deception around that he's keeping it a secret, or also the deception around his feminine, the high priestess, and all of that, in addition to his history of staying grounded at work, leads into the Two of Cups, with the challenge being the Three of Swords. So again, here we are going into the emotions which the masculine has covered up all these years and not wanted to deal with. And now it's coming up for evaluation, and here we have another relationship to evaluate. So how am I going to come into this with my past broken heart? Okay. Then we have in the present the Six of Swords. So here's the masculine. This is the masculine at work. This is how he's comfortable. Gets lots of attention at work for the wonderful work that he does. Okay. So he's in that energy. And it's clarified by the Ace of Pentacles, and now that here, the Nine of Wands is now reversed. So now he's given up the past wounds. He's deciding not to use them as an excuse anymore in order to go forward into this practical new beginning. A beautiful, brand new beginning. Okay? So he's actually, this is them together, so you can see them together. It's like him going forth, dropping the past here, okay, with the Nine of Wands, and going forth into his beautiful new beginning. And he's very confident. Okay, so then we have the near future, which is the Nine of Pentacles. And this is clarified by the Devil reversed and the Knight of Swords reversed. Okay, so both of these, the Devil reversed is about breaking the chains of addiction and codependency. So whatever their codependency is. But the Knight of Swords is about either no quick messages or no nasty words, which may be surprising because he was expecting them, or someone coming in saying something really nasty. Or it could be a liar rushing in to make a break. Or it could be a break from a liar who's still wanting to fight with him. But the Nine of Pentacles is about a single person relying on themselves. So it can represent the masculine, or it can represent the feminine in the way he sees the feminine now. And maybe him seeing the feminine that way despite what he feels he's done. But if you put the Six of Wands and the Nine of Pentacles are cornered to each other, so them coming together is like him bringing news to the Nine of Pentacles woman. You know, the single person whose inner power and her abundance. And then we have how the masculine sees himself. We have the Page of Wands. And the clarification for the Page of Wands is the Magician and the Six of Wands reversed. So again, we had these come up already. So the Page of Wands, you know, is that youthful passion and that youthful creativity. So it's not mature, you know, it's, there can be arrogance there. There can be unbridled enthusiasm, which can get him in trouble. But that's how he's seeing himself now. It's like a new start in passion. But this time, I'm not going to do it to get attention. Because I don't need the attention anymore. Because I'm the magician. I already have all the tools I need to make my dreams come true. And so then he goes forth as the Page of Wands. That youthful spirit of creativity, inspiration. And the Magician is definitely inspired. So that's a pretty powerful way for the masculine to see themselves. That's really great, actually. Then we have the environment of the masculine is the Four of Cups, clarified by the King of Wands and the Eight of Wands. So there's a lot of passion here, or passionate communication. It looks positive though. Although the Four of Cups can look, and in this picture especially, looks very sad when the fourth cup is being offered. But the fourth cup in this deck is the same size as the other three cups. So it may be a cup that they've seen before. They don't think of it as anything different. It's the same old thing. But it still is someone thinking about an offer, or it could be the feminine being offered something new by the masculine, you know, coming as the Six of Wands. And maybe now the feminine is seeing that fourth cup as being the same as the others. Are you really going to be different? Or are you going to be the same as everything you've been over the past year or two, 3, whatever it's been for you? But it's clarified by the King of Wands and the Eight of Wands, which is beautiful, passionate energy. The Page of Wands is facing away from the Four of Cups. But he's actually looking toward the High Priestess. But he's pretending like he's not looking that way. He's like, here's, you know, the High Priestess is right in front of you, and he's like looking away, like, so that she doesn't think he's looking at her. But he is. But he's got his back turned towards the Four of Cups because he's seeing the deception that played out, that he was a party to, in conjunction with the High Priestess. And he's turned his back to the Four of Cups because he's just making sure that he trusts himself, his own intuition. Am I doing the right thing? Before he goes forward to do anything. And it can still be his own lack of confidence and sadness that, is this cup really going to be different? Am I sure about this? Am I really sure about this? And then we have the hopes and fears, which is the Nine of Cups. Okay? And that's clarified by the Three of Wands, the Judgment, and the Knight of Pentacles reversed. So it's like he's looking back. He's looking back at himself and maybe judging himself for his inaction. But realizing that he still has to have satisfaction within himself. That he needs to have that perfect contentment and that wanting and that willingness to serve others, because he knows that that's what makes him happy. And understand the balance between fulfilling his own needs and then bringing someone else into that world and loving them unconditionally as well. And then the outcome card is the Sun, the masculine's unbridled enthusiasm and inspiration, the childlike wanderlust, that strength and power, illumination, total illumination under the sun, the happiness. I'm walking around naked, being his real self, his authentic, naked, raw self, and riding a horse. It's probably a unicorn in disguise. And the sun is clarified by the Three of Swords, the Knight of Cups reversed, and the King of Swords reversed. So, in healing and having been rejected and having been the bad guy, the nasty person, or the King of Swords. The King of Swords reverse can be a liar, can be someone with really harsh words, can be very mean, or just not in his power. You know, someone who's a control freak is not going to see themselves as good if they're not in their power. That's a weakness to the masculine. So recognizing that he's been all of these things, and that even with the Knight of Cups reversed, you know, the Knight of Cups is, you know, he's able to charm all the ladies. And a reversal could mean that he doesn't need to do that anymore, because he's healing. And he doesn't want to be upset. He doesn't want to be depressed. He doesn't want to be the control freak person, using his words to control other people, or charming others to control them, because he's healing. And that's where we get the sun. It's total illumination, self-illumination. Recognizing who he's been and how that's not who he really is, and wanting to be his authentic self. The Tarot of Sexual Magic cards that pulled out, so I have 5 cards, but there's 3 on one side of the sun, which I have the King of Pentacles, the Hermit, and the Stars, so they're all major arcana, and I'll show them to you. Okay, so this is the King of Pentacles, the Hermit, and the Star. So this could be, you know, earth signs. The Star could be an Aquarius, or it could just be about dreams fulfilled, or it could be about someone who's in the limelight. And the Hermit is about, you know, isolating to think about things. And then the King of Pentacles is chasing a girl around the pole. So the masculine is thinking very hard about his dreams. What he's been and what he wants going forward. About what really are his dreams. And has he really thought about what his dreams are? Because he's been working toward the same goal for so long, maybe he hasn't even thought about, is this really what I want? But then you have the King of Pentacles, and him really being interested in a relationship. And the star could be the masculine seeing himself that way. It could be him seeing the feminine that way, as someone in the public eye, or the girl of his dreams. It could be an Aquarius too, which could be the feminine or the ex or the current relationship. And the Hermit is also the Virgo. And then we have the King of Pentacles, which could be any earth sign. So it could be Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn. So a lot of thinking about dreams and what he wants practically in a relationship. And it actually covers up the, it was lying on the numerology deck card of financial discipline. Okay, which is pink. Pink is relates to the heart chakra, but it also relates to mental health. Pink is the mental health color, green the physical health color. And it's about financial discipline. The number's 48. And 48 is a 3. So it has to, threes have to do with communication and freedom of expression and socializing and coming together. So maybe there's been too much of that coming together and money going out. So the masculine needs to learn to be more conservative about his finances in that respect. But it's also where those clarification cards they were sitting on those things. So his dreams need to be practical and disciplined in a sense, and yet free at the same time. The other cards on the other side of the sun were it's the Knave of Chalices or the Knight of Chalices, and then the Four of Pentacles. Okay. So that's about someone, in secret really wanting to express themselves and tell someone something that he's been holding in for a long time. It could be a jealousy or just something he needs to get out. And then the Four of Pentacles is about waking someone up who's sleeping. But the Four of Pentacles in general is about holding on to practical things and not letting go. So it's kind of like his frustration of the situation he's in, like not wanting to let go of his things, his life that he's built, and yet ready to burst at the seams from what he really wants to say, that he can't because of his situation. But these are all clarifications building up to the sun, which is total and complete illumination. So the other underlying energies for the other decks, we're nature. So green is the heart chakra. And nature is all about getting out into nature, but it's also about being natural, being authentic. Instead of playing a role, being your natural self is the underlying energy. Very important for the masculine. Letting go of all the old wounds and just being your naturally exposed, authentic, true self in your heart. Green. So physical health and heart. So pink and green, which are both associated with the heart. And this is a 74, which is an 11, which is the the number of the visionary. It's the twin number, too, 11. It's about the visionary because they have psychic abilities and they're spiritual. The bottom of the other clarification decks were the High Priestess. We had her twice. And then the Tarot of Sexual Magic is the Five of Pentacles. That's the old-fashioned romance card. So the Five of Pentacles is usually, being left out in the cold or impoverished. But it's the Lover's card still. It's about, if you have love, you don't need money, right? And Spirit's connecting with me on that. And by the way, under that card is the King of Cups. So it's all about the heart and love. You got the Two of Cups at the center of the reed. Single person in their power. The Six of Wands coming in to bring a message. And it's all about love, but trying to be practical in love and not repeat the same mistakes. And then we have the Romance Angels. The bottom of the deck is heart-to-heart conversations. Okay. So honestly discuss your feelings with each other. And that's the underlying energy. And it's interesting because in this card, the masculine is up against the tree ignoring the feminine. The feminine is like trying to get in his face. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. And the angels are around not helping. They're just like, this is his issue. I'm going to show it to you again. See that? The angels are just there. They're not there to help. They're just there kind of witnessing, observing the situation, and seeing what he's going to do. And the card that came out for Romance Angels was playfulness. Okay. To recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. So heart-to-heart conversations and playfulness. Let go of the past, forgive, and be present, enjoy, right? So I did pull cards from the Oracle decks as well. So we have the Ascension deck, okay? And we got Earth. Earth is 14. It says, this card invites you to connect to Lady Gaia, the angel in charge of our planet, as well as to Taia, the elemental master of Earth, and its earth elementals, including goblins and pixies. Invoke Master Rygogsky, master of the 11th ray of mysticism, to help you attune to the wisdom of our glorious planet, then listen to its heartbeat. To further expand your consciousness, ask the earth dragons to help you connect to Hollow Earth and Lemurian wisdom. Earth loves, nurtures, and welcomes you. So this card is a card of joy and celebration. And the affirmation is, I thank Lady Gaia for inviting me to be on Earth. And it was very interesting because the bottom of the deck, and it talks about Lemurian wisdom, and then the bottom of the deck was Lemurian healing. So I'm going to read this too, since it's related. And this number is 24. 14 is a 5, so that's about change. And 14 is actually the Temperance card. 24 is the Queen of Wands. And that's a 6, which is about love, family, community. Lemurians were the 5th dimensional, androgynous beings who loved and wanted to heal Earth. They drew the love of God through the cosmic heart into this planet. Lemurians gathered the divine qualities from our energy fields and that of other stars, adding this to pure source light in order to form healing crystals to help us through the transition to the new golden age. The Lemurians then placed these healing crystals in the earth to light up the ley lines. Even now, when two or more gather with humility to focus these crystals, powerful healing takes place. And the affirmation is, I send Lemurian healing to Earth. Okay, so maybe a time to pull out your crystals. And then with the past life deck, we have transportation. And the bottom of the deck is leaving or travel. So the underlying energy is travel. And we're talking about the earth and Lemurian healing. So it's all about earth and being grounded and traveling. So it looks like the masculine is traveling for sure, leaving or travel and transportation. It kind of looks like it's grounded, like driving as opposed to flight. And then we have the journey of love. And let me pull out my. And the journey of love, they received the last card of the deck, which is Heaven. And I'm going to read you that. Here's Heaven. That's my daughter walking by. My sick, vomiting daughter. It says Heaven. And the bottom of the deck is 36, the cosmic butterfly. Okay, in case you're wondering. That's 36. So Heaven is 70, which is a 7, of course, which is a spiritual card and number. It's of the, it's funny because it's described as of the mind, but it's really more of the heart. It's that downtime, the quiet before the storm. You're meant to live heaven. Now, not later. Sometime after you die. What use is this life and body if not to live heaven now? Look for the mad divine genius in all that is, especially the puzzling parts of your life that make you scratch your head or tear your hair or scrunch up your face and scream with frustration. Those are the places in which the divine is saying, "Here, heaven is hiding. Let's unveil it together. Let me show you. Let me unveil your own mad divine genius right here. Look for heaven, even in hiding. It will not withhold itself from you for long, beloved. It wants to be known by you." This oracle brings you a special message. The enlightener is calling you to more, to more, to more. More divinity, more love, more acceptance, more embrace of life itself. There is no limit, and Spirit's just connecting with me. There is no limit in what is being offered to you from the divine lover, calling to you, the beloved. Rejoice and know that the dance of love between you and the divine is a removing of the veils of illusion, one at a time, until you behold each other, naked and true, so we have the naked again, finally to discover you are each other, you are love. And the poem reads, "The sky ablaze with morning light, on silver wings of birds in flight, in gratitude a tear released, a knowingness embraced at peace. She speaks to those that gaze below, ancestral wings which call my soul to open hearts and soar above. In all the winds await this love." So that was really beautiful. And heaven. The card heaven came up, but there was something else about heaven. I have to tell you my mail headings. I don't know if that was my mail headings. And by the way, this read was done at 4:22 p.m. today. That's when the cards actually went out on the table. And the reason heaven came up is because some of the twins were discussing good movies to purge by. Actually, that's just my thought now. But the movie I love that's so twin flames is called Made in Heaven. So if you haven't watched it, it's an older movie, but it's seriously twin flames. So if you like to watch those kind of movies, Made in Heaven. And the mail headings for the day. This is one hot deal. Love, love, love. Trending now, Niagara Falls. Nailed it. You just scored big time. Extreme communication. Awesome. Achieved. Action is advised. We've got you covered. Our top picks for you. Ascension update June 2017. Plus, much better than another tie. And then there's a picture of a present next to that. That was really good. And there's other people waking up. I actually emailed my friend today who's been having some health issues in hopes that she'll let me help her do some healing. And also emailed someone who I had a read with last year who, there's something I just need to bring up with that person about judgment. So I had done that today as well, which is good. So maybe those were the right things to do. And in the meanwhile, stay grounded. You know, do your clearing. Just be good to yourself. Try not to take everything so seriously. Forgive your twin. And I find for me, the only thing I felt I needed to forgive my twin for is not allowing me to communicate with them outside a professional manner anyway. And I felt like I needed to forgive him every day for that, because every day that he didn't talk to me was every day I needed to forgive him. But to let those things go, you know, like the buildings in New York. It's time to rebuild. The feminines are the rebuilt first building, and the second building is now in progress. Okay, just remember that. Have an amazing day and an amazing week. It is a beautiful month, so take advantage of the beautiful weather. And if you're in areas that have this beautiful weather right now, and love yourself first, stay present and enjoy, drink lots of water, rest, gentle exercise, still have some heavy energies going on. Okay? And be well. Namaste, everyone. Bye.